Our second outline is hearing God's answer. Habakkuk, the second chapter, the 4th through the 13th verses. So, got a lot of verses to cover here, but it all starts with the one thought, which is distinguishing between two kinds of people. The two kinds of people that God is going to look at. The first kind of person is a proud person. And that's why verse 4a says, "Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him." Amen. His soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. His soul, his spiritual nature, his godly nature is lifted up. Amen. God lives in you. The ability to live right abides in you. Amen. But if you don't use it, if you just operate under your own power, under your own thing, amen. Do what you want to do all the time. You become a proud person. That's the one kind of person. There's another kind of person. Verse 4b, "But the just shall live by his faith." That second kind of person puts their trust in God and in his word. Amen. Those are two kinds of people. Now let's look at verses 5 and 6a. "Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth him upon him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him?" Amen. So in verse 5, we get 5 characteristics of the person who displeases God. Amen. The first one says, "He transgresseth by wine." So this person is a drunkard, an alcoholic. But I would add to that, just say this person, one characteristic is one who is abuses substances. Amen. Dependent on substances. Amen. Back then, about all you had was alcohol, wine. Amen. But now we have all kind of illicit drugs. Some people get high off of household products like pine sol, for God's sake. Lord, have mercy. Yeah, a lot of substance abuse. Amen. People are abusing prescription drugs, legitimate drugs. People get high off of Tylenol and aspirin. Amen. So that's definitely a characteristic of one that displeases God. You're getting high off all this stuff, these material things, destroying your body, destroying your brain cells, instead of getting high off his spirit. Amen. Getting high off his power, getting high off his love and what he did for you. Amen. Getting high off the joy and the hope that he has placed in your life. That should get you high. Amen. The second characteristic, he is a proud man. Amen. He's proud outwardly. Amen. He's just publicly proud. Amen. Always trying to keep up appearances. Amen. In the public. No good. The third one, restless, a nomad, cannot stay at home. That's why it says, "Neither keep it at home." Amen. The fourth one, fourth characteristic, who enlarges his desire as hell, which means grave, and is as death. Amen. Which means he can never be satisfied. He can never be satisfied. There's always looking for more, always trying to get more stuff. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with this, but you can become obsessed with trying to get material things, and that's where the Spirit is talking about. When you become obsessed. The fifth characteristic, wants to dominate people and nations. Wants to overtake people, wants to control people. No good. Look at first verse 6b. "Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay." This is simply a person who profits off of stolen goods. And a lot of people in our society are guilty of that. People who sell pirated DVDs, uh, phony CDs, who copy CDs on their computer. All that is profiting from stolen goods. So we see these ancient lessons, these ancient scriptures from thousands of years ago, they apply right to our day. Let's go to verse 7 and 8. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Amen. In other words, those of you have oppressed, those of you have made downtrodden, they're going to rise back up. That's why blacks, African Americans, rose up against racism, while women rose up against sexism. Amen. And it's still a struggle, but people have to keep rising. Amen. But the reason I preach, the reason I accepted the ministry, is to try to get everybody to rise up against that evil spirit, that mindset, that philosophy, which is a way of life, that philosophy that tells us it's okay to be proud and to be a drunk and to be an abuser of people and to profit off of stolen goods. I preach because I want all of us to rise up against that spirit and against that way of life. And one by one, we can all overcome. Let's see. Let us go down to verse 9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. This is saying that a covetous person, they figure they can protect themselves by living in a secure location. Amen. So maybe a rich person who has a fence around their house and that's security around their house. Amen. They're protected. And they feel they are protected because they have physical security. Verse 10. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. Amen. The covetous person continues to take from the poor. Amen. They continue to take from those who have nothing. They just want more. They want more. They want more. Amen. They're not satisfied.